video, we are going to talk about Excel logical functions. So these functions are if, ifs, and or. Let's start with if functions. The if functions performs a logical test and returns one value if the condition is true and another if false. For example, write equal, then if, then open parentheses, and then give the logical test. Let's give this cell, and we mentioned that if this cell is greater than. Okay, before to come to this greater than and less than, so I would like to mention some important symbols here. These symbols are equal, just you write the equal, and whenever we say less than, then we will have this symbol. Whenever we say less than or equal, then we have this symbol. And if we say greater, then we have this symbol. And if you would like to say greater or equal, then we have this symbol. And in case we would like to mention not equal, we would have that final symbol. Now, in this example, if you would like to understand in this timetable, we have a number of students. We have their names, we have their marks in one of the subjects or the course, and then we would like to understand their results, if they have passed or they have failed. Okay, to understand the result, let's accept if a student has gotten a mark more than 60, then we would say the student has passed, unless the student has failed. We will use the if function, write equal, if, open parentheses, then give the value in the mark, D4. We say it is greater than 60. So what will happen then? If the value in D4 is greater than 60, right, the student has passed, unless the student has failed. And then close parentheses, enter. Then we select this cell and drag them down to understand the result for the whole group. Or Ctrl Z, you can double click at the left down part of this cell to automatically fill the entire column. Sometimes we have the grades. For example, let's categorize the marks for the students between 90, 100, 80, 89, 70, 79, 60, 69, and less than 60. And according to these categories, we have grades A, B, C, D, and E. In this case, we cannot use the if function because the if function accepts only one condition. But here we have several conditions. In this case, we are using ifs function, which accepts several conditions. For example, write equal, then ifs, open parentheses, the value in D4, if this value is greater than or equal to 90, then if this condition is true, then write grade A. If this condition is not true, comma, then D4 again. If D4 is greater or equal to 80, comma, then write B. Again, if this condition is not true, comma, we will get another condition. D4 is greater or equal to 70, then write C. Again, if this condition is not true, then comma, then we will give another condition. D4 is greater or equal to 60, comma, then write D. And finally, if all these conditions are not true, then this D4 value is less than 60, then write E and close parentheses and end. Again, we select and drag these cells down to the end, or Ctrl Z. Just you can double click at the left bottom corner of this cell and it automatically fill the entire. You see we have grade D, A, C and E accordingly. For example, James Carter with marks 28 in the course has failed. He has gotten grade E because of the function that shows the marks are less than 60. Okay, we can use the IFS function in different daily problems to solve them. Let's have another example of degrees. For example, as you see here, we have days, we have the degree and Celsius 0 to 35 in this interval, and we have categorized that one. If the degree is less than 0, we say the weather is very cold. If it is between 0 and 10, then the weather is cold, and if it is between 11 and 20, it's moderate, and if it's 21, 30, it's warm, and if it's more than 30, it is hot. So how we are going to formulate this condition, this example, and using IFS function. Okay, to use IFS function, click in weather cell, write equal IFS open parentheses. We will give a condition based on the value. So we say if the value in C5 is less than 0, then the weather is very cold. If this condition is not true and the value in C5 is less than or equal to 10, then the weather is cold. Again, if this condition is not true and the value in C5 is less than or equal to 20, then when I say then, I put the comma there, then the weather is moderate, comma. If value or the degree is less than or equal to 30, then the weather is warm. And finally, if none of the previous conditions are true and the value in C5 is greater than 30, then the weather is hot, and close the parentheses and enter. Again, select the cell, drag it down, or Ctrl Z, then just double click the corner of this cell. So it shows if the weather is cold, very cold, hot, or moderate, or warm. As we mentioned before, in these logical categories, we have if function, IFS function, and function, and OR function. Let's have another example to use. Okay, let's have another example to use and OR functions. We have the previous example, the list of the students, but we added another course or another column for the course B with different marks. So in this result is based on one condition, which accept the marks from D3, D21. However, the IFS function accept different conditions as we mentioned. Now, if we have two categories or two conditions and we would like to use the AND function before to use the AND function, let's say the AND function checks if all arguments are true and returns true if so, otherwise false. So how it is used, write equal and open parentheses. Give the first logical condition if D3 is greater than 60 and E3 is greater than 65, then if these both conditions are true, in that case the result will be true, unless the result will be false. Double click and it shows the true, false for all the values down to students James Carter. In AND function, both conditions should be true to have a true value. But let's change this false and true to pass and fail. In that case, we can customize this function. So how will you use it? You write if parentheses, if this condition is true, then write pause, unless write failed, and close parentheses and enter. Again, double click. We can customize to pass and failed if you want. However, for the OR function, which is another logical function in Excel, if any of the condition is true, the result will be true. Write equal or open parentheses. We say if D3 is greater than 60 and E3 is greater than 65, close parentheses. If any of these condition is true, then the result will be true. Double click here, then it shows the true for all the values, because if one condition is true, the result will be true. Again, you can customize this OR function with if. Let's change the true and false to pass and fail. So we write if, open parentheses, if this condition is true, then write pass, unless, comma, if this condition is not true, then write failed, and close parentheses, enter. Again, drag it down to the end, and you will have pass and fail, and pass and fail. Now we can see the difference between and OR. The AND function accepts that both arguments should be true to have a value. Or for our example, both conditions should be true to have a pass result. But in OR function, if any of the condition is true, we have pass result. That's why the result between OR function and AND function are different. The student who has failed with AND function now has passed with OR function. In this video, we have studied the if function. We have studied the if's logical function that accepts multiple or several conditions. We have studied AND logical function, and we have studied OR logical function. Be with us for the future videos. You will cover up most important Excel functions. Thank you for your attention so far.